Okay, this is a webinar about a tool called CallMyDoc. CallMyDoc has been around since 2013. We have grown it with Athenahealth from no patient calls to over 7 million patient calls. We currently handle 300,000 calls a month in 34 states. And there's two major pieces to our system. So CallMyDoc basically is an artificial intelligence-based call answering service replacement and an app that integrates with Athenahealth and all your charts. The way it works is that it can be used to replace or augment call centers, front desk staff, on-call answering services, anything to do with voicemail. You want to get rid of that completely because we set up every practice with its own dedicated phone numbers, and every phone number can be programmed to do something different. For instance, the phone numbers we set up automatically transcribe patient questions directly into the patient case types that are in Athena. So again, as I mentioned before, there's two major parts to the system. Using it during the day, and the idea is that if someone can't pick up the phone or the lines are busy, you want the calls always to go to CallMyDoc, because it's going to track every single thing that's going on. It's going to make sure things are being followed up correctly. It's going to give you a variety of information and statistics on how rapidly patient cases are getting closed out, which we'll look at in a little bit here. After hours, it has an app, and basically the app documents all phone encounters and puts them back on the patient's chart by itself. So the easiest way to explain this is actually just to show you. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to call into this phone number. Now, as I mentioned before, we give every practice as many phone numbers as required to get the job done. So some phone numbers could be set up as an answering service. Some phone numbers could be set up to transcribe refill requests. And there are a variety of ways it can be used. And I'm going to show you some examples as well as we get a bit further along here. When I call that number, keep in mind that 99% of everything you're about to see and hear can be completely customized for your practice. So what I'm going to show you does not have to be exactly this way. It's just set up a certain way to be able to illustrate how the system works. So let me call that number, pretend I'm a patient, and we'll go through how this system works.
Press 1 for English. Presione 2 para español. Please select one of the following. Press 1. You have reached Athenahealth Test Office. The office is currently closed. If this is a medical emergency, please call 911 or go to the nearest emergency room. If you are an established patient or calling on behalf of an established patient, please press 2 immediately to be helped with. Please enter the patient's date of birth by using your keypad to enter 2 digits for the month, 2 digits for the day, and 4 digits for the year of the patient's date of birth. You have entered September 18th, 1963. If this is the correct date of birth, press 1. If not, please wait while we look up the medical chart for the patient. If you have an emergency and need to speak with the provider on call, press 1. If you have a question about your schedule or to request or cancel an appointment or get directions to your next appointment, press 2. If you have a question about your bill, lab, insurance, or some other message for our office, press 3.
Okay, I'm going to press 1 to reach the doctor on call, or provider on call rather, and then I'll describe what's happening.
Would you like us to return your call to 424-263-2017? If yes, please speak the patient's full name slowly and clearly. When done, press any key. Then you will be asked for more information.
Carl Silva.
Now, please leave a detailed message as to why you are calling, any symptoms you are experiencing, and any other information information that would help us expedite this call. Please speak slowly and clearly. When done, press any key.
Okay, so as I'm talking right now, what this is going to do is this is going to automatically transcribe everything I'm saying directly into a clinical patient case. It's also going to push this transcription in my chart to the app, and we'll look at both in just a second. As I mentioned before, except for asking the date of birth, everything before and after that part can be customized to do whatever you want.
Once the provider or office has listened to your message, we will contact you at 424-263-2017. Thank you for calling.
There it is. Okay, so you get a CallMyDoc number, you get multiple numbers. Again, every number can be programmed to do something different. If it's after hours, obviously you would forward your calls to it because we could put the on-call schedule in here. If it's during the day, the way you want it to work is that if someone cannot answer the phone or a line's busy, extensions are busy, whatever, you want it to automatically forward to a CallMyDoc number. So you program your phone system to send calls to your CallMyDoc number instead of going to voicemail. Once the call gets to us, the patients need to enter the date of birth. So you need to think about this system as basically a front desk person that works 24 hours a day, 7 days a week to help answer the phones. In other words, if I called your practice right now and whoever picked the phone up doesn't recognize my voice, they're going to have to ask me for my date of birth, right? It can't work any other way. We just do the same thing. You could plug this phone number in tonight or during the day, whenever, and your patients would just start using it. There's no patient training. The system we're discussing right now currently handles over 300,000 patient calls a month in 34 states. As I mentioned before, we've handled 7 million patient calls to date without any issues. And it just works. It's 2022. You got a phone. Remember when you were born, you can get it in the system. If you don't have a phone and you can't remember when you're born, you probably should go to the ER. In any event, once we figured out who the patient is, in this demo, there's 3 things they can do. Now, one thing is they want to reach the doctor on a call. Now, they could have said, leave a message for your doctor or your provider because we're connected to the charts. And after they put in their date of birth, we know who their usual provider is. So we could actually look up the usual provider on their chart, or we could look up automatically who was the last provider they saw and create a patient case based on that information. Now, the second choice exists here because a lot of people could be calling about their schedule. And under scheduling, we got 2 choices. First of all, people can request an appointment. If you allow patient self-scheduling through the patient portal, people can actually schedule their own appointment in 30 to 40 seconds over the phone. And they can also cancel their appointment, and it will cancel their appointment in real time, but again, it behaves like a person. So in other words, if I try to cancel my appointment a half hour ahead of time and you have a 24-hour cancellation policy, you'll say, I'm sorry, we can't do that right now. Please call the office back directly. And the third thing they can do under scheduling questions is they can get their upcoming appointment information sent by them in text or email. And not only do we send them all their appointment information, but we also have a hot link they can click on, and Google Maps will give them step-by-step directions to their appointment. Now, the third choice exists here, and don't forget, this could have been arranged any other way. It's because at the end of the day, people aren't calling your office about a cheeseburger, right? I mean, they're calling about the same stuff over and over again. I have a billing question. I need a refill. I need this, etc. So these are all the different patient case types that exist in Athena. And again, we can set up a phone number or multiple phone numbers, any combination that you want, that can automatically transcribe the messages directly into Athenahealth. So the idea is that some of these call types do not have the same level of priority as other call types. And therefore, you could decide which calls should go to CallMyDoc for transcription 100% and be in the patient case, and which ones should go to a live person first. In any event, the app is what's used when you're not in the office. Now, I just happen to have an iPhone here, This could also be an Android. It doesn't really matter. How I get notified, when I get notified, and for what types of calls I get notified is completely customizable. So I'm just going to click on this link. And that information is coming in real time out of the patient's chart. So when I click on it, basically what it's doing is it's pulling the information directly from the patient's chart and seeing it in real time and merging it with the phone call. Now, this is typically what our transcriptions look like. If you had to, you could always play it, because some patients, you can't control the environment the patients are in. So maybe some patients are going to call while they're riding a bicycle and eating a sandwich. However, this is huge difference than the way things are done normally with after hours or any type of answering service. Basically, you get to screen your call before you answer the call, which I'll show you how the app works to do that. And the idea is that we don't just throw a live call into your lap at 3 o'clock on a Sunday afternoon. You get to screen your calls. So, okay, who's this patient? Why do they want to talk to me? Get a heads up about what's going on. And then what you do is you swipe the screen from right to left, and then you get a summary of the patient's 3 most recent visits. You got allergies. You got 3 most recent lab results. Again, this is all in real time in the chart. It's not stored on our system at all. And active medications. And then you swipe again, and you hit take session. And the reason why you hit take session is because when we hit close session, this app documents every phone encounter by itself and puts it back on the patient's chart. So if I want to call this patient, I hit this phone icon and I hit this green bar. And it's going to launch a conference call out of our server in real time. First it calls me. And now my patient phone is ringing. And the patient phone will ring with the caller ID of your practice or however you want the caller ID program.
Hello, this is Athenahealth Tech Office calling you back.
And then we're connected. So that's a way to call a person back. But the thing is, because we've got this app and because you can screen your calls, add response for all the things the app can do on its own, call the patient, et cetera, and you don't have to worry about anything. The app does it for you. So let's say this patient called for a refill. Well, then I'm going to click on prescribe, and it's going to pull the latest meds off the chart. Or I could press this magnifying glass, and I would prescribe something new, but let's just pick one off the list. And you may have to tweak these fields a little bit, but it's pretty straightforward. It's just a little script. So what this is going to do is this is when I hit close session, is that this is going to send this prescription to the pharmacy, and it's going to update the patient's chart, and it's going to call the patient and tell them which CVS to pick this prescription up at, and I don't have to talk to anybody. It'll take care of itself. I'm also going to have the app call the patient back and tell them something. I sent in your refill, but we haven't seen you in a really long time. So when you get a chance, could you please schedule a time to do a medication review? And then this little box at the bottom does not go back to the patient. This box is for you to take notes about this call, like spoke with patient, hit pain in left foot, bleeding, et cetera, and or to leave notes for the staff for when they get in, because this goes back into the patient case and into the final documentation, but it does not go back to the patient. I sent in this patient's refill, but we haven't seen them in over 6 months. So when you get a chance on Monday, could you please schedule them to do a medication review? And then remember, you have to hit close session because I'm finished. That's it. But now the app's going to call the patient back and do everything I told it to do. Hello?
Hello, this is Athenahealth Test Office returning your call. A patient at this phone number contacted us with a medical issue. We are calling back now with the provider's answer. If you are the patient or a HIPAA authorized individual, press 1. Athenahealth Test Office has the following information for you. You can repeat this information at any time by pressing 1. Please listen to the entire message. This message has 2 parts. Part the following medicine. Tazarac 0.1% topical cream. Everyday by Topical Roots. The prescription has been sent to the pharmacy. CVS 16050 in Target. Located at 3433 Sepulveda Boulevard. Please call the pharmacy to confirm it is ready at 310-370-1021. I sent in your refill, but we haven't seen you in a really long time, so when you get a chance, could you please schedule a time to do a medication review? Press 1 to repeat this information. Press 2 to confirm you have heard. Do you wish to start a new session with the provider for another issue? Press 1 for yes. Press 2 for no. Thank you for calling. Goodbye.
So, you get your CallMyDoc number. You forward your calls to it after hours, or you get other numbers that you use during the day to pick the phone up if no one can answer the phone. When patients call in, they enter their date of birth. And so that way, we know what their chart is, and we can create the right types of patient cases. We could push information to the provider on call so they know what's going on, et cetera, et cetera. Now, there is a patient case in Athenahealth right now. Before we go there, let me look at this piece first. So this is our dashboard. Now, we're not replacing patient cases. We're just augmenting them to make them handle anything that a live person couldn't pick up the phone on, and transcribe directly into different types of patient cases. So let's say that, let's say that you're working on Athena, and I'm working here just to help manage patient phone calls. Well, I would put a note in here because we coordinate between this dashboard and patient cases in Athena. So when we go look at the patient case to see what this corresponds to, you're going to see my note and my name. So that way people don't accidentally duplicate effort working on the same thing at the same time. Click on request, and I could read what it says and play it. That transcription's in a patient case. However, 1 or 2% of the time you may have to play it because the patient called you while they're riding a bicycle and eating a sandwich and playing a harmonica. But most of the time it looks like that. This is a summary of what we just did. And then the session log details everything that's going on. So all of our phone numbers act this way. Document everything from beginning to end. What number did I call from? What date of birth did I put in? What number did I want to get called back on? I left a message. Instantaneously, basically, I got notifications. I clicked on my take session from my app. Did a conference call with the patient. Sent in a Tazarac and a message for the patient. I hit close session. And we keep this information forever, and there's all kinds of statistics and information you can export from it. But at the end of the day, this took me about 2 minutes and 30 seconds. The app called the patient back, said I either have a person, I press 1 for yes, et cetera, et cetera. And then if I take that patient case ID, I can put it back in Athena. And this will bring me right to that patient case because, as I mentioned, we're coordinating between patient cases automatically and our dashboard. Just presenting information in a slightly different way to make it into a fully automated phone answering system. But here's my note. Now, I didn't have to do that because you can either work it from here or you can work it from here. But I wanted to do that to illustrate that we do coordinate. This is what I pointed out before. Remember when I called in and it said press 3? You can have one phone number or multiple phone numbers all programmed to handle these different types of questions. And I'll show you some examples here when we get a bit further. We always take the patient's phone number down, and we're doing that for 2 reasons. The first reason is because if you've been seeing a patient for a while, they'll go out and change their phone number or get a new cell phone or whatever, and they'll never tell the front desk when they check in. The other reason is because during the pandemic, people were calling in using phone numbers, callback numbers that have nothing to do with their chart. So quite frequently, like 20 to 30% of the time, that number's not going to be, it's out of date. Now, the first thing is, if we'd have been watching this would have just popped in immediately, because we're going to transcribe every question. And as I mentioned before, you could decide which calls go to the app and which calls do not go to the app. So maybe this is just in a patient case in somebody's inbox, wait for somebody to work on it. This piece here tells you which dashboard it came from. So this could have been labeled, refills dashboard, could have been the billing questions dashboard, could have been a variety of different things. And there's the transcription. Now, this was also worked on from the app, so you have this other information. And then finally, you've got this note. So let's say that I click on actions, and I click on scheduled, and I hit save. Well, in about 30 seconds or so, that's the same thing as if I clicked on archive, but I don't want to wait. So I can either archive the call from here, and it closes the patient case, or I can close the patient case and it archives it. Either one of those events signifies I'm completely done. Put everything back on the patient's chart under other documents, phone message. And here's everything we just did with a summary at the top and the detail at the bottom. And you can't yet attach a voicemail to a patient chart in Athena, but if you click on view original file rather, all these blue lines are hot linked in a secure fashion back to our server. So you're going to have all your information kept forever. So at the end of the day, you wind up with something like this. So this is a real site in North or South Carolina. They have, 12 or 14 different locations. And you can see here that these little boxes come and go in real time. At the end of the day, we keep statistics and metrics on everything that's going on here. So, for example, you see Monday's the worst day. These are the types of calls that are coming into the system. This is live information. And this information, I could show you any dashboard in the United States. It probably could look something very similar to this. Now, for this site, we currently handle 20,000 calls a month for them. During the pandemic, this was up to 42,000 calls a month. This here is interesting, okay? Basically, this is a graph that measures the time when we transcribe a patient case to when it's closed out in Athena. So you can see here that even though a big chunk of calls are going directly into patient cases, instead of going to voicemail, if you added up all these bars, it would be larger than the one at the bottom, which means you're handling most people's calls in less than 6 hours. Now, if you go down here, I know this looks like a lot of spaghetti, but you could do this on a per dashboard basis. At the end of the day, Roxborough is a new site location they have, and so they get hammered with phone calls. So we're handling, on average, 132 calls an hour at 8 o'clock in the morning. This is billing questions. They do not answer the phone live for any billing questions, period. Every single billing question is automatically transcribed into a patient case, and that way they can track how quickly it's being handled. Medical assistant messages. So we're keeping statistics on who's working on what's happening across the boards, period, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So these are appointment requests, et cetera, et cetera.